All right, once again, good evening to you all. This is Emmanuel Kadri, and tonight we are talking about lists and tuples. But yes, we are going to start with lists. So lists in Python seems to just be like a set of items, just like sets, but it's different from sets with some characteristics. So we are still going to talk about sets too at a later time. All right, but talking about their presentation, it is just presented like as we know sets to be in mathematics. You understand? Only that in terms of list, we are not using the curly braces. We are using square brackets for lists in Python. And then we also must assign them to a variable. And but the members of a list are separated by comma. And then unlike sets, the members of lists we can have the same elements. You can have the same elements repeated. It doesn't matter. Okay, but the only thing is just that every item has its own reference number, which is called the index. We are coming to all of that. So when I say list, how does it really look like? Based on all the description I've given you so far, we can have this as an example of a list like this. We can have, let me just define it as items. I don't know, I can just give you this simple definition as items arranged in square brackets. When I say items can, can either be, can be values, okay? Okay, can just be values or their likes. So we in the sense of list of lists, so you could even have list of lists, which we'll get to all of that later on. Okay, so I'm going to visit this topic twice. The basic aspects and then the advanced aspects. Okay, so we have values or that are arranged in square bracket. Okay, so I don't want to give it any too much complex recognition in terms of definition or whatever, but it's just as simple as that. Okay, it's just as simple as that. So now when you have something like this, for instance, an example is if I say, and then please, the idea of lists actually came from, the concept of list came from the idea of the fact that, okay, if you are having variables, for instance, if I have maybe I have like 20 students. If I have 20 students and I want to record their age, okay, I want to record their age, I can say, instead of me to say age 1 is equal to something, age 2 is equal to something, and so on and so forth. Instead of having age 1 equals to this, age 2 equals to this, maybe like age 1 is 25, and age 2 is, let's say 15, and age 3, okay, is equal to, let's say 10, and age 4 is equal to 20, and then age 5 is equal to 32 or 32, anything. Now, what if I have 20 people? Is that how I will keep saying age 1, age 2, age 3, age 4, age 5, age 20? It doesn't really make much sense. So instead of doing all that, I could actually say age. I could actually create a list and say age is equal to, then open a square bracket. Automatically the IDE will provide the open and the close bracket. So it's easy for you just slotting the values. So I can just simply open a square bracket and say 25, 15, 10, 20, and 32. So by so doing, I have formed what we call a list. So this list, just like one single variable, okay, that contains many sets of values. A single variable, a variable that many values are assigned to. So that is what you can call a list. Or although that is a general definition, because it is not only lists that behave like this. We also have sets behaving like that. We also have tuples behaving like that too. You understand? So, but what differentiates each of them is what they allow and what they don't allow, and then how you represent them. Okay, so we are going to talk about lists, tuples, sets, and which one again? And dictionary. Okay, so we're going to talk about all those four. But and that was going to be between today and tomorrow. Okay, so so we have it like this. All of them are like the list elements. Okay, the list elements or the list items, but the way they do it is different. So as for list, this is the characteristic of list. All the items are written inside square bracket. Okay, and then each item has its own index. You know, I told you in a previous class that in programming, when we want to number in programming, like you want to number some items in a serial order. Instead of you to start counting from 1, in programming we always count from 0. In programming we always count from 0. Okay, so which means that the index of 25 is 0, the index of 15 is 1, index of 10 is 2, and this is 3 and this is 4. So although we are having 5 elements here, but we are having 4, the highest index is 4, okay, because we started counting from 0. So when you say age is equal to 25, 15, 10, okay, so it means that 25 is at index 0, 15 is at index 1, 10 is at index 2, 20 is at index 3, and 32 is at index 4. And so that is how it goes. And this index thing is very important. It's something we cannot ignore. All right? So So instead of writing the above in that manner, we can simply arrange the items in the list as follows. So since they are similar items, they are all about age. Okay, so similar items, then you can put them together in a list, and then you begin to, operate with them. But then we need something that can help us to address them, and hence the idea of indexing. Okay, so I put it in this note that indexing helps us to address each member or each element of the list. Let me put that. Each element of the list. The elements are indexed in a similar in a serial order, starting from 0. Okay, so 25 is on index 0, 15 is on index 1, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's how it goes. So now I want to ask Omolade, please, 32 is on index what? Forget the fact that we're online, so I have to be pointing to you guys. So 32 is on index what? She's not online. 5, correct. And then Mary, the number 20 is on index what? Mary is not online. Falalu, number 20 is on index what?
Index 4, sir.
Index what?
4.
Index 4. Number 20 is on index 4. Good.
Yes.
I actually said Omalade was right because she was wrong. And I wanted to use her to confuse others. See, I told you before that this indexing will start from 0, okay? So 25 is on index 0, 15 is on index 1, and 10 is on index 2, 20 is on index
Yes.
3, and 32 is on index 4. But when she said that 32 was on index 5, I said she's correct. So that I can see somebody's supposed to argue with me and say, but you said it started from 0. So unfortunately, the next person just follows suit like that. And then the wrongness continues that way. At last, I'm laughing. I'm not just happy this evening, I don't know why. So we have 25, 15, 10, 20, and 32. Okay, so 32 is on index 4 actually. All right, I believe you've gotten me clear now. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So can Mary talk now? Mary. Number 10 is on index what?
Index 3.
Index 3. Hi, hey, what is she again? Which kind of thing is this now? Number 10 is on index what? Mary, I will blow you from this phone.
You said?
Number 10 is on index what?
Index 2. Sorry, I made a mistake. I didn't count it well.
Better.
I started from 1 instead of 0.
Better. You should always start from 0. That's the rule in programming.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
So that's how it goes. So you start from 0. So you have 0, you have 1, you have 2, 3, and 4. I just want that fact to be established in your mind. I want it stamped in your mind. But we are going to be making use of the fact a whole lot tonight. All right? So now, so if I want to print the age of the second person, for instance, which is 15, I'm going to say print, okay? But then since age is the name that I gave to the list, age is the variable name given to the list, all right? So you are going to say, okay, print age, then you are going to put the index of that age. So since it is 15 that I need, I am going to say age 1. Age 1 is pointing to 15 as a value. So anytime you want to make use of all these things, anytime you want to make use of all this, you don't refer directly to the value. Instead, you refer to the index. You understand? So you see, to use any of the items in the list, okay, you don't refer directly to the items. Instead, you refer to the index number. You refer to the index number, okay? So that is what you just simply do. So which means that to print, let me put it like this, therefore, to display, I think someone wants to join. Therefore, to display the age 15, let me say age 15, to display the age 15, you say print age 1, all right? Knowing fully well that 15 is on index 1. Remember, we always start from 0. So we have 0 and we have 1. So 15 is on index 1. In that case, if you run this program, you are just going to have the answer 15. Okay? Because 15 is the value on index 1. So age refers to, what is it? Oh, sorry, it's my fault. It's my fault. This one, you put it in square brackets, not in curved brackets. Okay? Please, whenever you are referring to the to the indexes, you actually use square brackets so that Python can understand that you are referring to an element of a list. Okay? Same goes to tuples too, but we're going to get there. So you say to display 15, you say print age 1. So if you run it now, definitely it's going to give us the correct answer, which is 15. I believe you get that right now. So that's how it goes. Now, I want you to type in the comment box. I want you to type in the comment box, okay, if you want to display, in the comment box, if you want to display, okay, you're about 5 now online. All right, I'm going to share it to you all. Falalu, please write a program that will display age 25, like I did now for 15. Mary, please do the one that will display age 10. Who else is online now? This thing is bringing out only. Okay, all right. Adedayo Daniel. So you are going to display age 32 for me. Omolade, you display age 20 for me. The rest you say Okpeo, I did not mention their name. I'm coming back to you. More questions for you guys. All right, so put it in the, type it in the chat box. How are you going to display the ages I asked you to display? I said Falalu should display age 25. I asked Mary to display age 10. I asked Omolade to display age 20. And I asked Sheyi to display age 32. Put it in the chat box how you would have done that. I just did an example of how I could display age 15. If I don't see your answer in 5 seconds, I'm going to choose another set of people. Let's proceed. Okay, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I just want to be sure that you are getting it. All right, Mary, you're welcome. So we have print age 1 if you want to display 15. So which means if I wanted to display 25, I could say print age. Why am I using this braces? You say print age 0. So print age 0 is for 25. And then by the time you display it, truly and truly, you are going to have 25. Okay? What is wrong with my network now? Good. So you're going to have 25. Truly and truly. Okay? So, that is how it goes. That's for that. So now, it doesn't stop here. You can also use it to you can also perform some stunts with it. But before we go to the other stunts, I want you to also realize that also note that we can start the indexing from the back. We can start the indexing from the back. All right. This is done by starting with -1. You start with -1 from the -1 from the last number and continue counting -2, -3. Okay, sorry, counting as -2, -3, like that, towards the left, towards the left hand side. Okay, so which means that you can start counting. So if I want to indicate 32, for instance, now, instead of me to say print age 5, that is, if I want to point to 32, okay, instead of me to say print age 5, I can as well say print age -1. Do you understand? So I can just say print, I can say print age, I can say -1, okay? So once I say print age -1, it will print out this one for me, which is 32, okay? That is, you can start numbering the list from the back. Print age -1, by the time you have it, you have 32. You understand? So definitely, if I say print, age -3 or -2, okay, it's going to give me the immediate next number, I think, which is 20. So by the time you run it, it gives you 20, as you can see. All right. So which means that Python also allows you to number your list. It also allows you to number your list from the back. But if you want to number your list from the back, you use negative number. You start from -1, not -0. You know that there's actually nothing in Python, nothing in mathematics like -0. 0 is 0. 0 is neither negative nor positive. Okay, so if you want to start from the back, from the last number on the list, you start with a negative numbering, which is -1, -1 for 32, -2 for 20, -3 points to 10, -4 points to 15, -5 points to 20, and it goes on and on and on like that. Okay, all right. So now, there are a couple of stuffs that you need to know about lists. Okay, what's more to know? Excuse me. What more to know about lists? Okay, number one. You know, I've told you you can number, that each member of the list. So far, so good. I've taught you about 3 things about lists. Okay, number one is that the elements of a list are arranged inside the square brackets. That's number one. The elements of a list are arranged in square brackets. Number one. Number two, I made you understand that the elements inside a list can be repeated. It is not forbidden. You can have 25, 15, 10, 20, 32, and you still have another 20 again. No problem. Okay, it's not forbidden. You can have repeated elements in the list. No problem. Okay, that's number two thing I've told you. Number three thing I told you is that you address lists. You address the members of a list. Okay, you address them with indexes. We call them index. Index is the number that you used to, like your house has an address. So my own house too has an address. Okay, so what you use, the number that you use to address the elements of a list is called an index. So, and I told you that the index always starts from 0. Okay, so the first element is index 0, the second element is index 1, the third element is index 2, the fourth element is index 3, the fifth element is index 4, and it goes on and on like that. And now I also told you that you can put the indexing from the back, which means, and if you want to start from the back, you use negative numbers. You start from -1 for 32, -2 for 30, for 20, -3 for 10, and it goes on and on. And we have done a couple of examples to show those beautiful things. All right. Now, there are still a few more things we need to know about lists. That is the operations on list. Okay. So, but then before the few more things, please take note of something. It is not just good enough to print the elements. You can also use the elements to do anything you like. For instance, I can even use it in addition or in subtraction. I can say print. I can say print. I can say print age. Print age 1. Okay. I can say print age 1, and I say age 1 plus. You can actually do anything you like with these values. They are just like variables. They are just like values assigned to different variables, okay? So only that if you want to use the variable, you use the name of the list and then you put their index number inside a square bracket to point to the particular value that you want to use. So now I want to use 20, okay? So I'm going to say index 3. So I will say age 3, okay? Which means that the elements on index 3 for the list called age, I am looking for the elements on the index 3 of the list that is called age. Age is a list. We call it age. Okay, that is the variable we use to name this list. So I am pointing to the third index of the list called age, and the third index of the list called age is 20, because the 0th index is 25, the first index is 15, the second is 10, the third is 20. So which means if I want to say 20 plus 25, I could just say age 1 plus age 3, which means the 15 plus 25 rather, I will say age 1 plus age 3, which means I am pointing to the index 1 element of the list that is called age. And I want to add that element, I want to add this value to the elements on the third index of the same list called age. And then this print statement will do justice to it. So when you say, which means I'm trying to point to 20 plus 15. Obviously, the answer is 35. And if you come here to run it, definitely you're going to get 35, as we have it here. Okay, so that is how it works. So it's not only to point to, you can use them to do anything that you can do with normal variables. You can also do with them. Anything you can do with normal variables can also be done with them. So when you have something like prints, or maybe I want to even display age, I will say, okay, I can say my name is Shade. I am, okay, I am, you put comma, use comma to differentiate, separate it from the variable. Then I can say age, maybe Shade is, let's say Shade is 20 years. So you can say age 3, okay, put comma again. Then this one, you put it inside quotes, years old. And it will run very fine. Okay, since you know that age 3 is 20, so if you run the program, just come there and say, my name is Shadi, I am 20 years old. You can see. So anything you can do with a normal variable, you can also do with the elements of a list too. All you just need to do is to know how to point to the index of the particular element that you need and use it as a variable. Okay, so you just you just write the name of the list and open a square bracket and put the index you want to use, the index of the element you want to use, put it in that square bracket, and that's all. So it functions as a variable immediately. So anything you can do with variable, the elements of a variable, you can also do with the elements of a list. Just know how to use it, that's all. And everything works fine. I believe that is clear to you all. So list saves us the stress of saying age 1 is 15, age 2. All right, Mary. What's your question?
Okay, so my question is based on the addition operator. Is it that it has two functions? Because I noticed when we were doing string formatting, you make use of plus to join two strings together. And here, you're also using it to add two values together. So I want to know when, I don't understand, like,
All right,
when do we know
Don't
when
worry,
to
don't confuse yourself. I've got your question correct. I've got your question right, okay? Now, I
Okay,
explained this
thanks.
same thing you mentioned. I explained it in the last class. I said that operators can have many functions in Python programming. You can have one operator that is serving about 2 different functions. It only depends on the environment in which the operator finds itself. So if you put plus between 2 numbers, then Python already knows that you are trying to add those 2 numbers. If you put that same plus between two
All right.
strings, Python already knows that you want to concatenate those strings. I believe you
Okay,
get me right
okay.
now. Okay? So
Yes. Yeah.
it
Right.
depends on the environment in which the operator finds itself. That is what determines the function that the operator will carry in that environment. Have I
Okay.
answered your question
All
now?
right. Thank you, sir.
So
Yes,
there
sir.
are
It's
many,
all
there are a
clear now.
few other operators too. There are a few other operators too in Python that serves more than one function. As I said, it always depends on the environment in which the operator finds itself. So you have another question?
No, sir.
All right. So um, now we proceed. So more to know about lists. No, now there are a few things I want you to know or about lists, like the kind of operations that you can perform on lists. Number one, to add a new element to a list, you use the append function. To add a new element to a list, you use the append function. So let's have an example. E.g., you know you already have this everything here like this, okay? You can add a new element to the list. Maybe I want to add 40 to the list, okay? All I just need to do is that I'll come here and say so since the name of the list is age, all right? So I will just say age dot append, and then I put the value that I want to put there. Maybe I want to put 40 there. Okay, so I'll just say age dot append 40. So by the time you come here and say print age, okay, you know print age is expected to show all the values inside the list called age. By the time you run, so when you run the program, let's see what comes out. You see that it brings the whole lists out, including age 40, which you just added to it. So the append statement is the append function is used to add new values to the list. And then you know that when you use this kind of function, it is going to add it to the back. It's going to add it to the last, to the back of the list. You understand it now? So the append function adds a new element to the list. So I believe I'm clear to that. Now I want you all to do this for me right now. Everybody show me how I am going to add, I'm going to take this thing off the screen. Everybody show me how I'm going to add element 28 to the list. Now, element 28, a new element 28 to the list. Just type it in the chat box. I'll buy something for you for the first 3 people. I'll buy something for you. Yeah. Put. Sharp. I'm waiting. Okay, it's only Mary that seems to have gotten it correct. Follow is really trying, but after the third attempt, you forgot to put points in the middle. So you say age dot append 28, and that is how it goes. Okay, and then you don't put space. Write everything together. Okay, so that's the correction to follow. So you say age dot append. All right, that is the correct thing. Age dot append 28. You write them together, and so that is how it goes. Okay, so yeah. So that is how it goes. So you say age dot append 40. So which means if I want to add a new age, okay, you use h dot append 28, and then it goes on and on like that. Okay. This will display the list. It will display the list with the new element 40 added. And so that's how it goes. All right, so we go to number 2. Number 2. To add a new element at some other parts, of the list, e.g. the beginning or the middle, use the insert method. Use the insert method. So the very first one I taught you earlier is append. Okay, the append is what I taught you earlier. Now, if you want to add the list to the elements to some other part of your list, which is not at the back, but any other parts, they use what you call insert. So let's have an example of how the insert method works. So you say, to use the insert, you just say h.insert. Okay, then you now open a bracket. You now indicate the place where you want the new elements to be. Maybe I want it to be on the 3rd index. I will now say index 3, and I put comma. Then the element I want to insert there, I will now put it there. So let's say I want to insert age 50. So I'll say age.insert 3,50. So the very first one, let me put it as a note. You say the first element in the bracket, or let me say the first argument, we call it argument. The thing that is inside brackets is called argument. Whenever you have any function, what you put inside the function, in that bracket of the function, is called argument. So the first argument indicates the position you want the new element to be. Meanwhile, and then meanwhile, the second argument indicates the elements you want to insert in that position. So now that I've mentioned insert 3,50. So if I now say print age now, okay, since I've said age.insert 3,50, if I say print age, remember that this was the last display of age that we had, which is 25, 15, 10, 20, 32, and 40. So if I ask Python to like insert 3,50, I'm trying to tell Python that please go to index 3, insert element 50 there. So our new index 3 elements now becomes 50. So by the time I run the program, you will see that we are going to have, what's going on? Line 30, print age. Nothing is wrong. What happened? Okay. The thing did not start from the wall. It didn't start from the wall. Okay. Now running. So you have this. So which means you have 50 inserted as index, 3 elements. Remember, we start from 0 always. So you have 0, 1, 2, and 3. So by so doing, I have inserted elements 50 on index 3. Okay, for the list age, for the list called age. So that is how it goes. All right. Now, number 3. Number 3. To add a new list or to add a list of elements into an existing list, you use the extend method. To add a list of elements into an existing list, you use the extend method. Okay, so let's see how it goes. Now, you know that we all know now that the list here is this. We know that it is 25, 15, 10, 50, 20, 32, 40, like that. So now let's say there is another list again. We want to add elements in a list manner. Okay, we can use the extend method. So we just say age.extend, and then you now put this thing in form of a list, in form of another list. So let's say I want to put a new set of age. So I put 26, you understand, comma, 39, okay, comma, and I can put 90, comma, 90 no comma, since maybe that's the last element. Even though you don't space it, if you write them together, it will still work. What is important there is the comma. All right, so you have age.extend. This is 26, 39, 90. These 3 elements will be added to the back of this one. Okay, so it is no longer going to end at 40. Rather, it will continue. It will extend to 26, 39, and 90. Okay, so let's run it. Let's display age now and see what is in there. If you run it, you have it this way. So now you have been able to add another a set of elements or a set of lists into the pre-existing list, okay, using the extend method. All right, so that is how it goes. Any question so far before I continue again?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Since we already replaced index 3 with 50 and index 3 was 20, why is it still appearing in the second program we are running?
No, you know that every new thing we are creating is updating the list called age. When age was still age,
Okay.
this was the original list. Later, we appended 50 to it. No, sorry, it was 30. It ended at 32 before. Later, we appended 40, and then 40 entered. Now, later again, we appended, we inserted 50 into index 3, and it entered into index 3 using the insert method. And so the list gets updated. Now we updated the list again, the same list called age, because everything we are doing it with the list age. Okay, so the same list called age, okay, we now added another list to it, okay, which is 26, 39, and 90, using the extend method, and the entered. So the list got updated. So I don't know what's so what really is your concern? Maybe I should get it properly.
All right, it's clear. I was thinking, since we already replaced it, you said we should replace index 3 with 50. So I wasn't
Okay. Oh,
expecting
no.
index
The word
index
replace,
20.
the word replace is probably the wrong word to use in this operation.
Okay,
We only
okay,
added the element
okay.
50 to become
So
our new index 3. So the elements on
okay, so
index 3 before,
become index 4.
we shift to excuse it. So 50 is now our new index. That is, we inserted a new value into the list. And so the one on that index before, we just shift. So it was on index 3 before, it now becomes index 5.
Okay.
Do you understand? So we didn't
Yes, sir.
replace, we only inserted.
Okay, it's clear now.
Now I want to teach you how to replace. So that will give us number 4. That leads us to number 4. To replace any elements in the list, just point to the index using the normal method and equate it to the new value. Okay, equate it to the new value. So that's how it goes. Now let me explain that. Okay, let me say, for instance, I want to replace 15, or I want to replace 10. I'm looking at it that a 10-year-old is not supposed to be in that class, and I want to remove it and replace it with 100. Okay, if I want to replace 10 with 100, okay, knowing fully well that 10 is on index 2, okay, so let me put it like this, e.g. to replace the element 10, which is on index, I think it's on index 3, if I'm not mistaken. It's on index 4. Yeah? It's on index 4. 0, 1, 2. Okay, no. 10. Where is it? Oh, 10 is on index. You know, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. So it's on index 2. Okay, so to replace the element 10, which is on index 2, okay, which is on index 2, if I want to replace it with a
I
new
thought you
value.
said values in brackets are arguments, not elements.
No, I said I want to replace this element 10, this one. This is
No, I'm trying
25.
to get some. You said
This is
values
not a
in
bracket,
brackets
this is a
are
square bracket. This is a
okay.
list.
Okay.
This bracket, square brackets represent list. Okay? Now what I'm
List.
calling
Okay.
arguments is anything you put inside the brackets of a method or of a function is called an argument. Now this is it.
Okay.
You know, insert is a function. Insert is a function. Like you see there, insert brackets. Anything you keep inside these brackets like this is what we call an argument. Like 3 and 50 is an argument. You understand it now? But apart from
Yeah,
that,
noted.
all these ones, these items that we have in the list, they are called elements. This is 25 as an element, 15 as an element, 10 as an element, 20 as an element, 32 as an element of the list. And then the position they maintain is called an index. Element 25 is on index 0, element 15 is on index 1, element 10 is on index 2, and so on and so forth. Do you get that clear now?
I noted, sir. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So now you have so I want to replace element 10, which is on index 2, with a new value, let's say a new value 100. Okay, I will say what I just need to do is to point to the value, to point to the element, you know, and I've taught you how to point to elements. You mention the name of the list, open the square bracket, put the index. By so doing, you have pointed to the element. You understand it now? So when you say age 2, okay, let me put it this way, in a age 2 is equal to, you just put 100. Okay, so what I did first is that saying age 2, it actually points to the elements on index 2, okay, which is 10. You understand? So then equating it to 100, So equating this to 100 tells Python to replace element 10 with what? With the new value 100. It tells Python to replace element 10 with the new value 100. That's what it's telling Python. So this thing just simply means go to the list called age, search for the elements on the on the index 2, and then replace the value with 100. That is what you're just telling Python. And Python will do just that for you. So when you go, truly and truly, when you say, then if you print age now, to confirm whether the replacement has happened, you will see what is going to happen here. Just to confirm whether the replacement has occurred. Okay, we are going to have it there. You see that it has been replaced. You see that it was 10 that was there before. Now it is no longer 10 but 100. So replacement has happened. Just by you pointing, using this command to point to the element you want to change, and then use equal to the value you want to change it to, and it will do the job and bring it out for you. Clear? Is that clear? So that's that. Another thing again about lists that you can still do on lists. All right, good, my dear. Another thing again that you can do on the list is you have age 5, number 5. Okay. So let's say to delete an element in the list, okay, use del, okay, use del and put space. Use del, del, just del, okay, put space and indicates the, and then okay, and points to the index of the elements. Okay, so to delete an element on the list, use del, you put space and then points to the elements, so which means e.g. to delete the element 100, which is on the which index? On the second index, right? Okay, let me try to delete another thing. Let's delete 32. 32 is on what index? I'm going to use the updated list. 32 is on what index? This is the index. This is 32. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we are going to 5, right? So we're going to 5. So to delete the element 32, which is on index 5, in the updated list, okay, I will say, what I will say is, I will say, excuse me, I will say del and put a space, okay. I will now point to the element I want to remove. That's index 5. So I will say age. Then I put 5 there. So I've pointed to the 5th index in the list called age. So by the time I run the program now, let me just display it again now and see. You see that something has happened. So when you say print age, you can see that the list has shortened. It has shortened because one value has left. and the value that's left is 32 because that was the value on index 5, and so 32 is gone. So that is how to run it. Do you understand it now? All right. So as you can see, we've been performing different kind of operation on a list, right? All of these things we actually need them sometime. You will soon see where all these things come to play. You will soon see them very soon. Okay, so as I was saying, to delete a particular value, so you say del, you use del, and then you point to the value on the, you point to the index of that value. So which means I wanted to delete 32, and I know that the 32 is on index 5. I just say del, which means delete age 5, which means delete the elements on the list called age. Delete the index 5 elements of the list called age, and it will do just that for you. And by the time you print it, you will see that 32 has left because 32 was the element on the 5th index. That is, this is 0th index, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. So when I say delete age 5, when I say delete age 5 here, what Python just will do for me is to go to index 5 and delete anything that is there, and which is 32. And that is why we have the remaining elements here like this. And so that is how it goes. Okay, so anything you want to do with the list, it's just a matter of you pointing to the index of the thing you want to do, and then you just do it. All right, so that's number 5 for you. Number 6, to delete a whole list. To delete a whole list, all right, just say del, you put a space, okay, you say del, you put a space, and then you put the name of the list there. I mean the name of the list. And it will do that for you. But I'm not ready to put down all of this for now. So let's create a new list now. Let's say eg, okay. If you have maybe you say names is equal to taye, names equal to taye, Kehinde, okay, and then Idowu, and then you have another one, Alaba. It's not only numbers that you can arrange in lists. You can also arrange strings, and you can even put a blend of numbers and strings too. It will work. You can put number here, maybe like number 2. After taye self, you can put number 10, and all of that. It doesn't matter. But when you are putting the number, you don't put string, except you don't put quotes, except if the number is to be made a string. But if it is just ordinary number, leave it as ordinary number. You can put numbers and letters together. It will not do anything. It will still work. And strings together in the same. For instance, if you want to print this one now, want to display it, you can say print. You can say print names. So when you say print names, you come here and you run the program. It's going to present it to you without issues, without any issues. It will just present it to you like that. 2, taye, 10, Kehinde, Idowu, Alaba, like this. You have 2, taye, 10, Kehinde, Idowu, and Alaba. No problem. So it is putting all these things around it, the quotes around it, just to tell you that they are still strings, that it still recognizes them as strings. So whether you use double quotes here or you use single quotes, it will bring them out as single quotes. You understand? So that is how it goes. So you have 2 Taye 10 Kende Idowu Alaba, and which shows that there is no problem with the list, even as you kept numbers and strings together in the same list, no wahala. And if you want to drop the list, okay, you want to delete it, just say del, put space and then names. When you say del names, by the time you print names, you discover that that list is gone. It no longer exists. You see error, name is not defined, which means that Python doesn't see anything like name anymore because you have actually deleted it. All right, so it doesn't exist anymore. So that is how it goes. Okay? So I've taught you different operations that you can perform. Now, there's this operation called the slice operation. Okay? Slice. Slicing a list, okay? Let me see. Slicing a list means to select a serial number of elements across the list. To select a serial number of elements across the list. To select a serial number of elements across the list. That is what we call slicing. All right? So, this is done by calling the name of the list, and then inserting the range of index or indexes in a square bracket. This index range is separated by a column. Bam. The index range is separated by a column. Okay, so let me quickly do that. For instance, you have roots came really little. Okay, for instance, let me say I want to select all elements. For example, to select all elements of the list age from the third index, from index 3 to index 7. Okay, I'll say age. I'll open the bracket age, and then I'll put You know, from index 3, right? You put 3, okay? Then you put column. Now, this 7 here, instead of you writing 7, you write 8. Okay? Since you want to stop at index 7, you will put one more ahead and write it as index 8. You understand it now? That is the law, that's the rule. That's how to do it. If you want the element on index 7 to appear in the sublist, okay, what you are going to do is that you will write 8 as the highest, as the upper index, this 3 as the lower index. The 3 is correct for 3, index 3, but the next one that you are going to write is going to be one more than the normal. That is the rule. That's how to do it. Do you understand it now? So one more than the normal. So which means if I want to stop at the element on index 7, then I'm going to write 8. Okay? So what do we expect? Actually, if I run this program, I want to see the values that we have for the existing list, the other list. Okay. So this is the list H that we've been dealing with since. Okay? And then now, if I say I want to select out all the elements from index 3 to index 7, you know this is index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. So index 3 is 50. Index 4, index 5, index 6, and index 7, which means I want to select all the elements from here to here. I want to create a sub-list. That is a list out of an existing list, a sub-list. I want to create a sub-list which will contain all elements from the index 3, from index 3 to index 7. So I am going to say, and the name of the list I'm dealing with is age. So what I will say is that I will just come here and say age, which is the name of the list I'm dealing with. Then I will open the square bracket and put the lower index there, which is from index 3. Then I will put a column and then put 8 there instead of 7. Though I know that I'm going to stop at index 7, but I'm going to put 8 there. That is the rule. If you put 7 here, it is going to stop on the 6th index. If you put 9, it's going to stop on the 9th index. On the 8th index, rather. You understand it now? So that's how it goes. That's how it is being designed. All right, so obviously there are reasons for that, but that is not your business. Our business is that we just want to code it and it should give us what you want. So let's see how it goes. But in the process of doing this, when you want to create the sublist, you need to assign it to a variable. Okay? All right, so you say to create the sublist, you must assign a variable to take it in. So now let's have it this way. So let's say age sub 1 is equal to, you now say age, you open the square brackets, and then you put 3 column 8. You put 3 column 8. Okay, age sub 1 equals to age, open the square brackets, 3 column 8, and then you run it. Okay, sorry, I didn't print it. Sorry. Then you now say print age sub 1. So you print age sub 1, you run the program. Ta-da! You see that this is the element on index 3. This is index 0, index 1, index 2, and index 3, as you can see. All right. So, and then it starts from that element on index 3, and then we wanted it to stop at index 7, so we have to put 8 there in the bracket. Okay, so you see 50, which is index 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. You see that I did not put 90, which is index 8. So it stops at one index less it stops at one index less than the other one that you indicate here. That is where it stops. That's how it is being designed. So that's how it goes. So by so doing, we have been able to create a sublist. Now, another note again. This is supposed to be note number 7. Note number 7. Now, note number 8. To skip the selection, of the elements by any given step, let's say by any given step, add a new column, and type the number of steps required. Okay, so now what I'm trying to say is e.g., for example, if I choose to select all the elements from index 0 to index 9, okay, but skipping the next elements. Okay, you want to select everything, but you want to be skipping the elements, the next elements. I'll write it as age. Okay, you start from index 0. Since you want to stop at index 9, so you're going to write 10 here. Okay, you're going to write 10 there, and then you have age index 0, 10. But we are going to put one more column. Sorry, not comma. Sorry, column. Then we are going to put one more column, and then I will now write step 2. Step 2, which means I want it to be skipping. So I'm picking the next 2 values in each case, starting from the first one. So I want it to jump and pick the next 2 values. So let's see how it goes. Okay. Then, as usual, I'm going to assign a variable to it that will contain the value. So let me say age sub 2. Let me just put it like that. You can use any name you like, anything you like to do that. Then age sub 2 is, I'll write 0. Okay, I think I've copied it. Okay, so you have this, and then you put the print. Okay, age sub 2. Okay, print age sub 2. Let's see what's going to happen here. Now, see what just happened. What it did is that, so let me remove this. Let me remove this other one, it's disturbing me, the tire list. Since I've even dropped it. Okay, I said print names, their names, okay. Okay. Let me just comment this one out. Comment this one out. Okay. I will return them later. Okay. Run the program again. I need just that example alone. Just that list alone. Okay. See what happens here. It starts with 25. It skipped 15. Jumped to 100. Skipped 50. Jumped to 20. Skipped 40. Jumped to 26. Skipped 39. And jumped to 90. That is how to do that thing. So if you want it to to be skipping every 3 3, okay, all you just need to do, instead of skipping over, jumping to the next two indexes, you can just make it to be jumping to the next 3 indexes. Okay, so what you just do is to say age sub 3, age sub 3, age sub 3 is, we have 0, 10, and 3. Age sub 3 is 0, 10, and 3. And then by the time you print it, okay, all right, so let's see what happens. If you run it, see what we got. So let's go to the lists, the actual one, which is what? This is 25, okay? 25 now, if you look at it there, well, 25 is 25, right? It will not skip 3 times. From 25 to 15, 1, from 15 to 100, 2, from 100 to 3, to 50, 3. So then it's not right the 50. To jump again 3 times, from 50 to 20, 1, 20 to 42, then 40 to 26, 3. So then it will bring out that 26. Now here, from 26 to 39, 1, from 39 to 90, 2, then 90 to nothing. So since there is nothing left here, nothing to display, so it will just stop at the 26, and that is all. You see 25, 50, and 26. You see everything there. All right, so that is how it works. Tomorrow is going to be a big day. Tomorrow evening, or maybe Sunday evening probably, I want to show you an app that I did, like a console-based app that I did. Okay, and you will see how I made use of all of these things I'm teaching you to develop that app. The app, just like all these things I've taught you, basically, that's what I used to develop the app. But there's still something I use in the app that I've not taught you yet, but I will still teach you. I will teach you tomorrow. Okay, then maybe on Sunday, we'll now work with all of these things and see how these things work in real life. Do you understand? So it's just looking like, okay, something is just keeping us busy here, but then you have never been able to apply it to real life situation. So you will see how it is being applied to real life, and you would really enjoy it. So that is for Sunday. Let's wait till then. All right, so back to all of this. As you can see, we've been able to perform different kinds of operation on lists. What else again? So that would be it for now. I told you before that I'm coming back to this topic called list again. So I'm going to take list pass 2, which is a little bit step forward, a few steps forward beyond this. But I want what you have understood tonight, I want the thing to just sink. All right, I want it to settle. Then you will learn something else about it when I come back, when I revisit the topic. Okay, so that is that. So you have what else again do I need to teach you about lists? I think that will be all. So that was all. So I believe you've all understood. Is there any question before I move to something else? Because I want to teach you tuples too. So tonight is for list and tuples.
Hello, sir. This is your line 62.
Okay.
You said, for example, if I choose to select all the elements from index 0 to index 9, but skipping the words, can you move your,
You're
like,
skipping the next element.
All right, thank you.
So you can see that when we run that one, this is it here. When we run it, okay, we're skipping, the thing skips from, you see 25, okay, you know we use step 2. Step 2 is what we use in the code, if you can see. We use step 2, right? We say the thing should start from index 0 to index 10, step 2, which means take 2 steps from the index 0. So see what happens here. You have 25, step 1 and step 2, which is 100, and that is why you read this 100 here. Do you understand? Then from 100, step 1 and step 2, which is 20. That's the reason why it raises 20 here. From 20, step 1 and step 2, we have 40, and that's why it's wrote 40 here. and from 40, step 1 and step 2. Okay, sorry. Let me start again. Okay, that's 40, yes, sorry, 40. Then from 40, step 1 and step 2, we have step 1 and step 2, that's 39. And from 39, step 1 and nothing more. So that's why it did not display anything more. So it's as if you're just keeping the immediate next number and then to pick the one that follows. That is how it goes. So do you understand now? Do you understand now, Mary? Okay, good. It's like Ruth is trying to say something. Ruth?
Yes, yes. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, you came in late. So the kind of question you are going to ask me, well, it depends on when you came in. So
I was going to ask because things like you were saying, is there any other thing you'd teach us on list?
okay, can you speak louder so I may hear you clearly?
Oh, all right. Can you hear me now? Is it clear? Like, is it loud enough? Hello, am
Okay,
I
I can
loud
hear you
enough?
now.
Am I?
You're a bit
Thank
audible
you.
now. So
All right. I was going to ask. I have stumbled on stuff too that I see list of lists. Are you
yes,
here to touch that, or you
yes,
touched
I'm
it
here to
already?
touch that. That is the step forward that I said I was going to teach you when
Okay.
when we go back, when we revisit it.
All right, sir.
Yeah. Anybody else again? So we move. All right. The next thing I want to teach you is tuple. I'm going to teach you tuple. Just hold on. Now, the reason why I'm going into this topic, tuple, is because it's not going to take us a lot of time. Tuples just behave almost exactly like lists. Tuples behave almost exactly like lists. Okay, the difference between them is just that when you create a tuple, that is, once tuple is created, the content of a tuple cannot be edited. Once tuple is created, the content cannot be edited. Apart from that, every other thing that happens to lists happens to tuple. So let's have the example here. Okay, so you say tuples tuples. Tuples are just like lists. The exceptions are that they are represented using curved brackets. They are represented using curved brackets. Okay. Instead, use curved brackets instead of see, whenever I'm writing something new, I'll put a space. When I'm writing continuation of a previous line, I will not put space. That is the convention I've been using since. So if I'm writing something new, I'll put space, making it look like a paragraph. But if I want to write a continuation, I will not put space. Okay? So to show that it continues from the previous line. So tuples are just like lists. The exceptions are that they are represented using curved brackets instead of square brackets. And also that once created, the values of a list of a tuple, or the elements of a tuple cannot be you cannot edit them. Let me use the word edit. Okay, the elements of a tuple cannot be edited. Please just take note of that. Okay, you cannot, you can, like what we have in terms of list, that you can replace an element, you can do this, you can do that. You cannot do that with a tuple. You can't replace, you cannot even add more. You cannot append. You can't append, you can't replace. You understand? You can't do all of these things with a tuple, but you can do it with a list. And also tuples are represented with curved brackets, but lists are represented using square brackets. So that's the difference between the list and the tuple. All right, so we have it this way. Let's just have the examples. So and tuples are actually used for some special purposes, like for instance, now you know it is not possible for us to remove the months of the year. If I am meant to write a program, or a code that has to do with anything like calendar, instead of me using lists, I would rather use a tuple. The reason is that standard for standard, Monday to, we have 7 days in a week, bam. There is nothing that wants to happen in this world that will reduce the number of days in a week, or that we add more to it. Monday is Monday, Tuesday is Tuesday, all through to Sunday. Sunday is Sunday. No new day. You cannot add anything new. Neither can you remove from it. So in order to represent things like this, the best in programming to use, in Python programming to use, is tuples. Tuples are usually used to represent items that cannot be replaced, or that cannot be, that anything cannot be added to. Items that have fixed elemental values. You understand it now? So everything is fixed. You cannot change it. So stuff like that are what we use tuples for, or they are what they represent in programming. You understand it now? So you say, hence, tuples are used to represent items that cannot be changed. E.g., days of the week, months of the year. You understand? All of those, they cannot be, you cannot change them. And that is an example of what we use tuples for. Okay, so let's have it like this now. E.g., let's say week is equal to, you open a bracket and you say Monday, okay, you have Tuesday, okay, you have Wednesday, you have Thursday, you have Friday. Okay, so this is an example of a tuple. This is an example of a tuple. Okay, now the few things you can do with tuple. Okay, let's see now. Let's try to append. If you say week now, it will not work. Week dot append. Okay, and then you have maybe we have another day called Emostel, or another day called holiday. We have another day called holiday. So let's run the program and see what Python will say. You see that it says attribute error. Tuple object has no attribute append. So you cannot use append for tuple because you really cannot add more to the values. Once it is created, it is created. You cannot add anything to it, but you can remove from it. Oh, can you? So let's see. Now we have week, we have del, Okay, so we now have week. So let's choose the index. The same way we choose the index is the same pattern. Okay, the same way we do it for list is the way we do for tuples. But and then there's no difference. It's still square brackets when we want to point to a value. Okay, so let's say we want to point to the this is index 0. So let's say we want to point to the element on index 1. So we just write week 1. So let's see if it will delete or not. Run the program. Bingo, it did not delete. I told you before, in the days of the week you cannot remove, you cannot add, you cannot do anything to it. The days of the week are the days of the week. You can only use them. You cannot remove from it, you cannot add to it. You see now that it says the week, you say type error. You say tuple object doesn't support item deletion. You see that with your eyes. So you cannot delete, because just like the way you cannot remove any day from the week, that's how you can not also remove any item from a tuple. The elements of tuples are fixed. So, but you can use them to do anything you like. You can do anything you like with them. So for instance, and you can, but anyway, if you don't want to use week again, so what if we now say the week, that because we don't need it again, since the guy is proving stubborn. So let's see what happens. Okay, I have to print to see whether week still exists. Print week. Okay, so let's run it. You see, name error. Name week is not defined, which means it is gone forever. It's gone for good. So which means that you can delete the old, you can put the old list down, you can put it down. The old tuple, you can put it down. But you cannot do that you cannot delete any of its elements, but you can delete all of them as a whole if you don't need them anymore. You understand it now? So now let's just see now. Let's have fun with it. So nothing can be removed, added. Nothing can be removed or added to the list, to the tuple. No need for story. I've shown you before. I want to tell you that so thing they don't work like that. So, all right, but you can use the values. You can use them. But just like lists, you can use the elements of a tuple for just anything as permitted. Okay, so let's have an example. You can say print, today is, so instead of me to say today is Monday, I can say today is week, open square bracket and put 0. You know that Monday is on index 0. So I will just say week 0, okay? Because Monday is on index 0, I can say week 0. So week 0, if you print it, if you run it, so let's see what happens. Bingo, you say today is Monday. You got that, okay? So you can use it to do anything you like. In as much as you know what to do, you can use any element here to do anything you want. It will work just fine. The only forbidden thing is just that you cannot delete any elements, neither can you add anything to it. And also, you don't use square brackets when you are listing the elements. You use the curved brackets. But apart from that, it can do the same thing that can be done with lists, which means that if you want to point to any elements, you write out the name of the tuple, and then you open the square bracket and put the index of that element you want to point to. You put it inside the square bracket. Okay, so I want to point to Monday. I write week, which is the name of the tuple, and I put index 0 in the square brackets, which points to Monday. So if I add, since today is Friday, I can just say index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, index 4, and It comes here, runs the program, and writes today is Friday, and it goes on like that. Okay, so I want to do one stunt here too, just a general example. You know, the last time I taught you how to use the what is it called, the input statements to receive values from the user. You can also do the same. You can also try and, when I was learning this, I actually did this as an experiment and it worked, and I used it to design an app. It worked. So something like this. You can do various stuff. Why now? With lists and tuples. Is it follow protocols or follow rules? Follow the rules. Okay. All right. So now let me just receive a value from the user. Okay. Now I can say e.g. to create a list of values to create a list from values received from a user. You can say, so let me say that I want to receive five ages from the user. 5 ages from the user. Okay, and after receiving 5 ages from the user, I want to find the average age of the user, the average age. So let me see, e.g. to collect the age of 5 students and then find their average age. So I want to write a code that will collect the age of 5 students and then find the average age. I want to write the code as such. So let me see. Let's see what we can do about that. We can say age is equal to, make it an empty list. Age is equal to an empty list. Okay, you are still going to put things inside. Age is equal to empty list. By so doing, you have declared an empty list. Or let me use heights. So height is equal to empty list. All right. Now it remains to fill the value of the list. You remember the statements used to add values to a list. Okay. So we use the append function. So we say height dot append, open a bracket. So you are expected to be putting a value here directly. So, but I don't want to do that. Instead of putting a value here directly, actually I can put a value like 3. If I put 3 here and I run the program, of course, okay, sorry, I've not put print. If I put the 3 here and I say print height, okay, and I run it, definitely, it will bring out the list for me and put 3 there, definitely, okay. And then when you are using this append function, remember it is only one value that you can put at a time when you are using the append function. If you want to put more than one value, then that is when you use the extend function. That one now, you can put more than one value, and you put those value, more than one value, inside a list, inside a list as well. Okay, so now you say age print height. So now, which means that instead of me to put something like 3 here, I rather want to put an input statement. I will now say int. I told you before that when the input function collects value from the user, by default the value comes as a string. But if you don't want the value to be a string, if you want it to be an integer, you do typecasting. Even from the point of declaring the input statement, you type the cast. So I say you type the cast, you cast the type. So you say int already, which means I'm casting it. I open a bracket. So by opening the bracket, I'm just trying to tell everybody that, okay, fine, whatever the user puts in, I know it comes in as a string by default, but please convert it to an integer because I want to perform calculations with it later on, and then it will work fine. So you say print int, then you now use the input statement now, after, because you have already cast it into an integer. You can now use input. So what do you want the user to input? You put it inside here. How do you want the user to put the value? Like, okay, you can say insert the first age or something like that. So you say insert, and then okay, let's say insert the first age. Height, sorry. Insert the first height. Okay, all right, and then we can just copy and paste 5 times or 4 more times. Okay, and then you say this one becomes second, this one becomes third, this one becomes fourth, this becomes fifth. Okay, so, and then we need to find the average of the heights. You say average heights. I told you that when you are declaring a variable name, you don't put space. Instead of putting space, you rather use underscore. And if you don't want to use underscore, you can use camel casing. Camel casing involves you writing the words together, but at the beginning of each word, you use capital letter. Only that the first word will be a small letter. All right. So camel casing is like this: average. You now write height. This is camel casing. You look like camel, galloping. So like a galloping back, having galloping back. So that's how this is camel casing. This first one is the use of underscore. You can use any of the two to represent your variable names if the variable names contains more than one word. So you have average heights. You can say average height is equal to you call all the elements of the lists. You can say height 1. Although there is a function for this, there is a shortcut for this, but I don't want to reach there. I have not taught you all those things before. I want you to learn them when it is time to learn them. So let's just be acting like amateur now, picking all these things one by one. So you have height 1, and you say plus height 2. Oh, no, you didn't give it a name. All of them are inside the list. I'm so sorry. I was carried away. So the list is called heights, right? So you say heights, and then you use the index value. That's index 0, okay, plus. As a shortcut, you can just do like this: copy and paste, and write plus. So you paste you write plus, you paste, and then you write plus. Since it is 5 heights that we need, okay, so this is height 0, this is height 1, this is height 2, height 3, and 4. Okay, that is for index 4, which is the 5th one. You now put everything inside brackets and divide it by 5. That's the average height. Okay, the total number of elements divided the sum of all the elements divided by the total number of the elements. So that gives you the height. So you now come here and say print average height. And then you can even see it's like, okay, the average height, you have to put it inside quotes. The average height of the 5 students is, and then you put comma. Remember to separate the variable from the string, you use comma. Then you now put height there, average heights. All right, there we go. So let's run. Please interrupt me if you come across anything that is not okay, that you didn't get clear. So this one says insert first height. All right, let's the first height be like 20 or 30. Insert second height, let's say 12. Third height, let's say 13. Fourth height, let's say 67, 76. Let's say fifth height, let's say 89. Okay. And then by the time you run it, it says the average height of the 5 students is 46.0. So that's it. Okay. And then remember that all of them, and if you want to know, if you want Python to show the result first, okay, you can say print the list of heights entered is, then you put can put a column, and then you separate with comma, and you put height there. Okay, so let's see what happens if you run it. Insert first height. So let's say 20, 34, 12, 13, 15. Okay, so it says the list of heights entered is this. It shows us the list. Okay, then the average height of the 5 students is 18.8, and you see that that's it. Okay, so look at this. The list of the heights entered is heights. Heights is a list. So as you were entering the value, as you were collecting the value from the user, okay, it was entering into this square bracket called height, and it kept on moving on. Okay, so the list kept on increasing, and you can see that we have it here like this, and then it runs and gives us what we want. Okay, before today, if I just call you before today, if I just call you and show you this thing like this, and just show you this part of the code, you will say, no way, what is this one, how does it look? You'll be so shocked, like no, you just say this one, no way. But you won't know that it is a simple thing. It's just looking complex by the time you look at it. But if you start doing it, and then you started getting understanding of everything, you see that all those things that we see on the screen, you know, maybe in movies or something, that you see so many codes and all of that, you say, ah, man, it's a big deal. It's never a big deal. The big deal in it is just you understanding it, and if you understand it, then that's the big deal. So looking at everything on this screen now, you see that there are things you could follow, there are things that you could do on your own, there are things that, you know, you could manipulate to achieve anything you want to achieve, and that's how it just goes. Okay, so before I continue, any question? Is there any part of it that confuses you, that you are still looking so strange, that you seem not to get well? Is there any part of such? I told you earlier that you can still do lists. You can undo. Okay, I think I already even gave you an example. So today is week 4 for tuples. You know, you can still do tuples that way too. It doesn't matter. So, all right. Any question before we call it a day? No questions, right? No question. Ruth, are you okay? Mary, are you okay? Omo, are you
Yes,
okay?
I'm fine, thank
All right. Who else is online?
Sorry.
Mary, any question?
Okay. Wait.
Mary want to
I'm
force a
coming.
question out, even when there is no question, actually. Oh, yeah, I'm waiting.
No, I'm trying to get
Augustina.
something clearly. The during your appending,
Yeah.
line 86, you said average height is equals to height 0. Okay, we started the normal index, right? Okay, that means okay, I get it now. That means you started your appending with the normal index. That is insert first height, that is index 0. Am I
Yes,
correct?
you are correct.
Second
You
height, and that
created
is
an empty
index 1.
list. You created an empty list. As you are appending in each case, the value that the user is
Okay.
entering goes into the list straight to fill up the list.
Okay.
So the first value we go as appendix 0. The second value the user enters again goes for the index 1, and then the third value that the user enters, it gets appended as index 2, and it goes on until it reaches index 4. Okay, so the Python will not ask you any question,
Okay.
and it will not ask you to insert anything again, since you have programmed it to only ask this 5 times, and then you can now do, knowing fully well that those values would have been stored in a list, you can now do anything you like with it.
Okay. Then during the skipping on list, underscore is represented as the symbol for skipping elements, right?
No, please, I told you can use
Because
any
I know.
name you like. I said age underscore sub 2. It doesn't mean that it must be underscore. If I like,
Okay, we
I
can
can say age. If I like, I can say age sub 2 using Camel Casing. If I like, I say
Okay.
age sub 2. It's just a variable name. It's nothing more. It's just a variable name.
Okay. Okay.
You can design your variable name anyhow you like, in as much as you don't break the rules.
All right. Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. So it still worked. If you run it, it will not, Python will not complain. Okay, it complains now because I've not changed it here. I've not changed the reference. So if you say s sub 2 and here 2, so let me run it now. See that it still works fine without any complaint. See, so that's how it goes. It's just a variable name. It's not not the underscore is just there because just the same way I used underscore to separate average and height here. It's exactly the same way I did to separate age and sub. You can even call it any name you like. You can call it your name self, it will work. It's just an ordinary variable name. So it's just ideal to give it a name you can remember. So that's how it goes. Do you get that clear now? Mary?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I
Okay.
guess it's it's very loud. Thank you. Noted.
Ruth, any question?
I think Rahim is asking you a question. Oh, check the message.
Okay. I minimized the screen earlier. Okay, let me check. Most must you use the word height? No, now I've told you that you can use any name you like. All those things are just variable names. See, anything that Python, anything that Python writes in color white, anything that Python writes in color white, that thing is a variable. You can use any name you can remember that goes with what you want to do. For now, I decided that if you look at the question. The question says to collect the age of 5 students and then find their average age. Okay, I mentioned age. Okay, let me put it like this. To mention the heights of 5 students, um, okay, and then find their average heights. Anything, you can use anything you like. It's just an ordinary name. Any name, you can call it your name. You can say Falalu, Falalu 1, Falalu 2, Falalu 3, anyhow. Anything that comes to your mind, in as much as it's a name you can remember and that can remind you of what you are doing. So you feel free. So variable names are always written in white using this IDE. You understand? So anything that you see in color white, you know that it's a variable name. You understand? So this sub 2 is a variable name. And this name is a variable name. This one like this is age, is a variable name. You are the one that created that name. Python did not create it for you. And Python did not tell you that it is this thing you must use. You can use anything you like that comes to your mind. It works just fine. So, any other question from anybody before we close the curtain? No questions. All right. So, thanks for coming tonight. I'm going to do this as usual. I will send the code to the group. Okay. So, the assignments that I gave you earlier, try and do all those assignments. Try and do them. Then I'll give you more. Because there's no point me giving you more assignments when you are not when you've not even done the ones I gave before already. So no point. I don't want to stress myself. So tomorrow is another day by God's grace. I'm going to teach you set and dictionary tomorrow. So today I taught you list and tuples. Tomorrow I will teach you set and dictionary. Okay? Then on Monday I will teach you loops. Have a lovely night's rest. Those of you that are going to vigil, pray for me. Pray for me. And then tomorrow we'll meet. You can exit the group now. Bye.